Publius Ovidius Naso, better known as Ovid, was a renowned Roman poet and the author of Metamorphoses, a literary masterpiece in Western literature. Since its creation in the 8th century, Metamorphoses has been translated numerous times. The title itself signifies books of transformations, as it delves into the history of the world from its inception until the death of Julius Caesar. Within its pages, approximately 250 myths are presented, all revolving around the theme of metamorphosis, where beings and entities undergo profound transformations. Many of these myths share similarities with their Greek counterparts, while others exhibit slight variations. In this exploration, we will examine 5 stories, some of which are widely recognized while others are lesser known. The initial narrative centers around the tragic tale of Callisto. To facilitate comprehension, I will primarily refer to the deities by their Greek names, although I will occasionally mention their Roman equivalents. The story unfolds with Jove, Zeus, surveying the affairs of men as he traverses the lands. In the woods, his attention is captivated by a captivating huntress named Callisto, who happens to be the daughter of King Lycaon. Callisto is described as a devotee of Diana, Artemis, and a warrior associated with the cult of Artemis. This cult reveres nature, hunting, and chastity, as Artemis herself is a virgin goddess. While taking a momentary rest in the forest, Callisto sets aside her bow and spear, assuming that her husband Juno, Hero, would never discover her temporary diversion. However, Zeus, in the guise of Artemis, appears before Callisto, who becomes elated at the sight of her queen. "Hail, my queen," exclaims Callisto, "greater than Jove, I say, though Jove should hear." Normally, Zeus would be greatly offended by such a statement. However, in this instance, he is pleased that he chose the appropriate form to seduce Callisto. Seizing the opportunity, Zeus reveals his true appearance and attempts to engage in amorous advances. Callisto, realizing his deception, tries to resist but proves unsuccessful. After their encounter, Zeus withdraws to the heavens, leaving Callisto to wander the forest in distress, burdened by the weight of her broken vow of chastity. Zeus's plan to engage in this affair while disguised as Artemis proves futile, as Hera has been attentively observing the entire affair. As Callisto roams through the forest, she chances upon Artemis once again, but this time she is apprehensive, wary of another potential trick by Zeus. Accompanied by her nymphs and other followers, Callisto recognizes her patron goddess and is invited to bathe in one of Artemis's secret springs renowned for their purity. Upon reaching the spring and confirming the absence of prying eyes, the nymphs and followers undress and immerse themselves in the water. However, Callisto, unable to conceal her shame any longer, refrains from entering. Her reluctance unveils her secret to the others, who gaze upon her pregnant form. "Begone!" Diana cries, "You shall not stain my stream." Callisto, carrying Zeus's child, is banished from Artemis's cult, and everything she once cherished and worked for is taken away from her. This marks only the beginning of her punishment. Hera, who has witnessed everything, patiently awaits the perfect moment to exact her revenge, a moment that has now arrived. Upon seeing Callisto give birth to a boy, Hera seizes the opportunity to unleash her wrath. She seizes Callisto by the hair and hurls her to the ground. Callisto pleads for mercy, but her prayers fall on deaf ears. As she extends her arms, Hera laughs as thick fur covers them, her nails elongate, and her once desirable lips transform into a hideous jaw. Callisto's metamorphosis into a bear is now complete, and the only remnant of her humanity is her heart, allowing her to experience the anguish and heartbreak she endures. As she wanders through the woods, it is now Callisto who becomes the hunted, experiencing the horror of the hunt she once relished. 16 years later, she comes face to face with a young hunter she recognizes as her son, Arcas. However, when she calls out to him, all he sees is a bear growling at him. Unbeknownst to Arcas, Zeus intervenes just as he is about to strike his mother with his javelin. Zeus transforms them both into constellations, Ursa Major and Minor, ensuring their eternal reunion. Alternative versions of the story conclude with Callisto being killed by Artemis or her own son. Although the tale offers little cause for celebration, at least it concludes with mother and son being reunited. In the kingdom of Lydia, the Muses sang a captivating song about a young weaver named Arachne. Although she hails from a modest background, her father Idmon of Colophon is renowned for his distinctive purple dye. Arachne's skill in weaving is known throughout the surrounding kingdoms, attracting even the Muses themselves, who leave their abodes solely to witness her work. One might assume that she was trained by Pallas, Athena, herself, but Arachne denies this, claiming that her ability is entirely self-derived. In this context, Pallas refers to Athena, the patron goddess of weaving and craftsmanship. Arachne's denial of Athena's influence becomes an act of hubris that prompts the goddess to pay her a visit. "Let her contend with me," proclaims Athena. "Should I lose, there's no forfeit that I would not pay." Athena assumes the guise of an old woman and embarks on a journey to meet this exceptional weaver. Upon finding Arachne, the goddess offers her advice, urging her to be humble and seek pardon for her harsh words against the gods. Arachne responds with arrogance and provocation, saying, "You're too old, your brain has gone. You've lived too long, your years have done for you. Talk to your daughters, talk to your sons' wives. Don't think your words have any weight. My own advice is all I need. Why doesn't Pallas come by herself? Why should she hesitate to match herself with me?" Athena, having given Arachne the opportunity to apologize, finds this retort to be the final straw. She discards her disguise, revealing herself, and the surrounding nymphs and women kneel in reverence to their patron goddess. Consequently, they agree to a contest to determine whose skills are superior. Athena creates a tapestry that portrays the Olympians in all their splendor, while Arachne's artwork depicts the same gods, but with a focus on their flaws, a stark reflection of the hubris that initiated this contest. Inspecting Arachne's work, Athena found no fault in the tapestry's weaving, as it had been done to perfection. However, its content was a crime against the heavens. In anger, Athena tore apart the tapestry and took the wooden shuttle used during the contest to strike Arachne on the forehead. After the fourth strike, Arachne could no longer bear the punishment. She attempted to hang herself by placing a noose around her neck, but Athena intervened and caught her, commanding her to live but remain suspended. Athena cursed Arachne, declaring that her kin would also suffer the consequences of her actions. Athena then sprinkled Arachne with the drugs of Hecate, causing her hair to fall out, followed by her nose and ears. Her head and body shrank, and instead of legs, she was left with 8 long fingers by her sides. From her belly emerged a fine spun thread. Transformed into a spider, Arachne retained her ability to weave webs, forever pursuing her former skills but always falling short. While some versions of the story depict Arachne as a somewhat sympathetic character, Ovid's rendition presents her as unlikely and justifies her punishment. Pygmalion, a king and renowned sculptor in Cyprus, had negative experiences with women, leading him to swear off marriage. However, he longed for companionship and expressed his emotions through his sculpting. He created a sculpture out of white ivory in the form of a woman he believed to be perfect and more beautiful than any real woman. The more time Pygmalion spent with the sculpture, the more he fell in love with his creation. The sculpture was so lifelike that Pygmalion eventually couldn't distinguish between reality and artifice. He interacted with the sculpture as if she were alive, talking to her, caressing her, and even dressing her. When the festival of Venus or Aphrodite arrived in Cyprus, Pygmalion saw an opportunity. At the altar of Aphrodite, Pygmalion made offerings and silently wished for a bride resembling his ivory woman. Upon returning home, his prayers were answered, and the goddess of love transformed the ivory statue into a real woman. Pygmalion finally obtained the love and companionship he craved, albeit through unconventional means. Ovid does not provide a name for the sculpture-turned-woman, but in later years, she is referred to as Galatea. Trapped in a tower surrounded by water, Daedalus felt great sorrow for his son, Icarus, whose childhood had been taken away. Daedalus understood why Minos had imprisoned him for helping Theseus slay the Minotaur, but he believed Icarus didn't deserve to share in his punishment. Determined to escape, Daedalus gathered feathers, arranging them from smallest to largest, and constructed wings using reeds and wax. He created 2 pairs of wings for Icarus and himself to flee Minos' tower. When Icarus realized what his father had created, he was ecstatic, following Daedalus' instructions to fly a middle course, neither too low nor too high. Daedalus warned him about the dangers of sinking too low or flying too close to the sun, instructing him to set his course where he led. As Daedalus inspected Icarus' wings one final time, he feared the worst. He kissed his son and took the leap, with Icarus closely following. However, Icarus became captivated by the stars and flew too close to the sun. The wax melted, and the wings disintegrated, leading to Icarus' tragic demise. Daedalus buried his son on a nearby island, and that portion of the sea came to be known as the Icarian Sea. Our final tale revolves around Mercury and Bacchus, which involves the theft of Apollo's cattle by Hermes. The story begins with Apollo, relaxing and playing music in his field. Seizing the opportunity while Apollo was distracted, Hermes sneaked into the meadow and stole all of the cattle, hiding them in the forest. Bacchus, an elderly man, witnessed the crime. Hermes approached him, offering a bribe for silence, giving the man a cow as a reward for his service. The man skeptically replied, pointing to a stone in the distance, saying that the stone would tell the secret before he did. Satisfied with the old man's response, Hermes disappeared. However, Hermes returned in a different disguise, doubling the reward and asking the old man about the whereabouts of the cattle. As expected, the old man directed Hermes to the exact location where the cattle had been hidden. Realizing the old man's betrayal, Hermes turned him into a stone called Telltale, serving as a reminder of the consequences of treachery. This concludes our exploration of some of the stories from Ovid's Metamorphoses. If you would like to see a second volume featuring 5 more stories, please share your thoughts. We would also like to thank our sponsor for today's video, The Forgotten City, a game that transports you 2,000 years into the past to a cursed Roman city. In this game, even a single person's sin can lead to the death of all, and you must navigate multiple time loops to save everyone and unravel the city's mysteries. The Forgotten City began as a mod with over 3 million downloads and has now been redesigned as a standalone game. If you enjoy murder mysteries, puzzles, and exploration, this game is sure to captivate you. The developers have worked closely with historical experts to create an authentic ancient Roman world, from the art and architecture to the clothing and customs, providing an immersive experience. Mythology enthusiasts will also appreciate the game's references and Easter eggs,